It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Wednesday, April 10th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Health is Happiness, the Bible History Word Study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. Whew. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Yes, I am so thankful. It is Wednesday. It is the middle of the week. It is hump day. I hope that you guys have been enjoying your week thus far. Don't forget, tomorrow is Q&A Thursday. We have it every single week, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can. If you haven't yet, for today's podcast, please leave a like and comment to build our community. Just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title is Only When You Take Action Will You Receive Even Blessings God Permitted. All right, everyone. Yeah, it is the middle of the week. Oh, and it's the 10th. Can you guys believe it's already April 10th? A third of the month of April is over. That was fast. I can still remember when I did the April Fool's practical joke on everyone. I can remember that. Like, we're already 10 days past that, and we're moving fast in this month. Right now, just me drinking my capsule coffee, which is absolutely disgusting, and I'm hating it. But it's a good morning. I don't have that brain fart like I did yesterday. I will be heading to church right after this recording. I'm going to prepare for tomorrow's live stream, which I'm really excited about. And, you know, for me, super excited as usual. It's going to be my 5th podcast for the Rebel Pastor channel, which means that right when this comes out on Wednesday, in a couple of hours, for those of you guys in Asia, it should be live streamed in a few hours, 9 a.m. Malaysia, 10 a.m. Korea. And for those of you guys who are listening to this from America, it'll be 6 p.m. for LA and 9 p.m. Eastern. So I'm excited once again about this. Hopefully we get some more people to watch the live stream, which is exciting. But channel is growing and growing. Right now at the moment, I believe we have 5,176 subscribers, which is, since we've started, we're almost at a full 4 weeks. Soon it'll be, by this week, so we'll have about 160, 170 new subscribers, and per 4 weeks, we're getting close to 20,000 views for the month. So I'm excited about this, and I hope it's something that it makes you guys just as excited as I do. Oh, I have good news. I found my hoodie, thank God. Yeah, I finally found the missing hoodie. I looked everywhere for it. I just gave up on it. And then I went to this dog cafe. You know the one I went to the other day? Went to the dog cafe, and they gave it to me. And they're like, oh, you left this? I was like, oh, I've been looking everywhere for this. So I am super thankful and happy to God that I found my hoodie. Thank God. Yes, I am like a walking advertisement for Nike, which I don't want to be. But even better news is that I will have a new Rebel Pastor hoodie coming in this week. Right? This Sunday, I will be getting that new hoodie. So next week's live stream, you're going to see a new look. All right, so for me, it's quite exciting. Super thankful for the people that have been helping out the channel also. I got a good team, two, three people that have really helping this channel a lot. But I can't wait to finally have some new hoodies, right? New hoodies that say Rebel Pastor, and I'm going to be wearing those for the next couple of weeks also. But, you want to hear something cool? A member called me and said they had a dream about me. And they said I was on America's Got Talent, right? And of course, Simon Cowell was one of there's like 5 judges. Simon Cowell was one of them. But they said that when they saw me on stage, I was making jokes with the judges and I was just being myself. And for me, it just reminds me of all the other dreams that people have been having. Like when I was here in Malaysia, one person had a dream that I was, that God said that this channel was made for them to evangelize, like to help them evangelize. God did it. There's another dream, especially my dream, that I realize it's about, that my goal or my direction is internet ministry. And now this dream, it's kind of cool because it was America's Got Talent, and that's where my focus for this channel really is, right? It's like, it's kind of like, I'm not saying that I'm ignoring everyone else. It's just, once you make it in America, you can make it everywhere kind of thing, right? When it comes to entertainment, YouTube, all these things, once you make it there, it just crosses boundaries and borders and stuff like that too. So for me, I'm very, very happy and excited that there was that dream, America's Got Talent, and I think the feeling I have right now, everything is so much towards internet ministry. I really feel that God is saying, yeah, you're going to be showing yourself to the entire world. And I feel like God is working through this channel. And it's kind of just waiting for this channel to build and grow so that it becomes something where we're like, oh, wow, it's become this, and more people are watching, and this is happening here, and this is happening there kind of thing. And I do think these are more signs that God is saying this channel is going to kind of have a bigger audience. So yes, the goal right now is still 10,000 subscribers. We're going to get there. I know we're going to get there. I am 100% sure we're going to get there. It's just a matter of when God opens the floodgates and when I really open my heart and my eyes to making this channel work really well also. Remember yesterday I talked about comments? I had a great comment from Rachel. And Rachel is over there in Texas, and her family's coming to visit me in Malaysia. Well, not coming to visit me per se, but visiting Malaysia in June. I can't wait. I love their family. I've known her mom since 1998, right? And this amazing, amazing member, mother, evangelist. She does everything. But yeah, and you could tell by her children, because Rachel is quite she's awesome too. But she wrote this comment, and this comment was inspiring, right? So remember I talked on Monday about how things, everything just didn't go my way, right? And then she wrote, "Sucks whenever things don't go our way or block us. I still get so angry and upset whenever things like your card situation occur." And then she said, she wrote here, "My mother testified that Sunseem said that he came to destroy human love. Human love changes all the time. For example, when we're angry, we stop loving. When we're hungry, upset, sad, we stop loving. But God always loves us." And then she wrote, "I realize this is a fundamental physical part of myself I need to fix. How? I don't know. Perhaps meditation and prayer. Would love to hear ideas on how to actively take action on this." But the first thing, is more than the question itself, was what Sunseem said, that he came to destroy human love. I think that's such a powerful statement. And that's something that we're kind of dealing with in this world. Even when you look at marriages and couples and stuff, it's all based on human love. And this is why the divorce rate's over 50%, because people are doing it in a human way. Human beings, the love changes all the time. It's true. When we're hungry, when we're sleepy, when things happen, this is when we stop loving. But to stop having human love, but to have godly love, that is a powerful thing. It really is. And it was really inspiring for me to hear, like, wow, Sunseem came to destroy human love. Don't you guys think that's a powerful statement? And it just shows the level of the love human beings have is so weak. It really is. It is so weak when you think about it. I can't think about this and like, wow, human love. We got to destroy human love. And I think that is such a powerful statement and something we really, really have to open our hearts and our minds to even more. And I think it's exactly what Rachel said. The fundamental physical part of ourselves we need to fix is getting rid of the human love and start having godly love. And that's a great question. How do we move towards godly love? And I think like what I really feel is, well, look at how Sunseem's fixing it. How did Sunseem fix his physical human love also? And his was all about experiencing what real and true love is. Now, what does that mean? Well, you can't have godly love if you've never experienced godly love. If you've only experienced human love all throughout your life, that's all you have. You know what I mean? all you have is this human love, and that's all you experience, and that it leaves scars in your heart. It makes you more defensive, and you become more protective of yourself because all you have experienced is that type of love, which is really sad when you think about it. And if you think that that's the only type of love that's out there, then what happens? What happens is then you kind of think everything is like that, and you start treating people the way that you've been treated. But imagine if you can experience God's love at the fullest, and you realize, wow, God is there for me all the time, and you experience it all the time. He's never left you. Like, I think I realize that all the more, even now when I look at myself over the last 4 or 5 years, like 4 years of during the pandemic and during 2023, how much I struggled. And it's weird because in my own thoughts, I think to myself is like, man, could God really put up with me? Like, after all the things I've done, all the things that I've like disappointed him with, how does God put up with me? And I think about God in a very human way, that God's going to treat me and throw me away like a human being would, right? But I realized even more, it's like, man, here's God still blessing me? That's crazy. God is still blessing me even though I've done so many wrong things, even though I've probably disappointed him so many more times. And I look at that and say, wow, that is really, truly God's love. And I think a lot of the things that we have to do is getting the capability to throw away, right? Throw away the humanly loved thoughts when it comes to thinking about God, that God is loving us no matter what. Human beings stop loving, but God never stops loving. Never. Even like, remember this week's message, even when he knows when someone's going to leave Providence, he's going to treat them even better. I just had the worst thought. I'm like, is God treating me better right now because he knows I'm going to leave later? That is the worst thought to have. But yeah, it's just really interesting. Like, it really makes me think deeply. Sansim came to do what? To destroy human love. Human love changes all the time, but God's love remains forever. That is so deep. For me, I'm just like, wow. When I read that, I was like, I've got to talk about this. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's a very, very powerful statement that he comes to destroy. Human love. Guys, this might remind you of what happened in my podcast last week, but I really need to blow my nose. 1 second. All right, so I blew my nose away from the mic, so I don't know unless I listen to this again. I don't know if you guys heard me blow my nose or not. I should have muted it. That's what I should have done. Either way, so yeah, that's probably the comment of the week for sure. I love that. Sunset came to destroy human love. Ooh, too deep. Oh, have you guys seen the Holy Spirit story 21? And I'm sure it makes a lot of people confused, right? When it talks about the Mafia Telegram room. And I'm telling you guys, that's actually the real name of the Telegram group, okay? So after I read this, I was like, what is this talking about? Like, over the last couple of months, what is Sunsteam constantly talking about? You know what I mean? Because remember, this is why we're like holding off on PROVI in the media, not reporting about this or that, because I'm like, what the heck is going on kind of thing, right? So I did end up, I called my friend in Korea like, hey, what is this letter about? Okay. And finally, Sunsteam talked about this Mafia Telegram room. And I was like, okay, so what's this about? And they said, there is actually this kind of fringe group in Korea that has made a Telegram group or room called Mafia. It's pretty crazy, right? It's like, I'm not going to say it's a fringe group of members, but it's like a group that's like made from people inside Providence, and it's like focused. This one pastor is the one that's mainly running it, and they're trying to recruit members to join. And this Telegram group has been going on for over a year, right? So it's been ever since like the spiritual Oppenheimer and such. This group has been going on, and basically in that chat room, in that group, they are just talking about Sunsteam's situation, about the law things, and discussing with their own thoughts what they think the best thing is to do. And they're so Like so strong to the point they're even writing letters to Sunsteam telling Sunsteam what to do. Like, oh, Sunsteam, you shouldn't work with that lawyer. No, Sunsteam, you can't be with this lawyer, or Sunsteam, you should do it this way. So they're basically not leaving it to God, but they're kind of doing it on their, like, they're kind of judging things on their own, right? And at the moment it looks like, well, I can assess that even though Sunsteam's been talking about this for months, and that these people still haven't taken down that room, it seems like they're putting themselves above everyone in Providence, that they're not even listening to Sunsteam, right? And then writing letters to Sunsteam and telling him what to do. So I don't know the full details of it. And I don't think we need to know everything about it. We just know that there is a group like this, a kind of a fringe group. They're kind of off in their thoughts. And there's just only a few things that only a few things I know. It's like this group is there. They say they're doing it on behalf of Sunsteam, right? So this is all the stuff you heard in the past. It's talking about this group. They say they're doing it on behalf of Sunsteam, but as you can read the story 21, it's actually, they're not doing it on behalf of Sunsteam because they're not even listening to what Sunsteam says when they're telling them to stop the group. And it looks like now it's reached a point where Sunsteam's basically outed them. Like, hey, if you're part of this group, get out of there. Close that group. Holy Spirit doesn't want it either. And, they're kind of doing things with their own thoughts. And they're like centered on some pastor, some Providence pastor. And, and they talk bad about Providence and the stuff they don't like and stuff like that too. And they said that many of the members are still going to church. And, some of them are inside the churches, but they won't listen to the message deeply, or they won't, they're obviously not listening to Sunsteam when he's saying to close it down. They're not listening to the head leaders of the churches. They said they don't really even act like, real Providence members because they show like a really bad temper. They have super quick tempers, and some of it even leads to some type of violence too. All right. And it's interesting. For me, it reminds me because there's been several groups like this in history that have popped up in Korea, right? Like there was a group called, I believe they're called like Pyeongdaehyup or something along that line. There was like a bunch of these different groups that really popped up and came out of Providence, and they too in the past were run by pastors, people who were like women-owned workers, people who were close to Sunsteam. And I think this is probably why it gained so much traction because of who is running it. These are like credible people. That people find credible, or people look at and say, oh, they're close to Sunsteam, or, they feel that these people are credible. So it's a very, very interesting thing that now we kind of get to see what Sunsteam's actually talking about and which group he's talking about right now too. And I think it's very helpful for us, especially when we're listening to these stories. Like, I don't know the full details, and I don't care to know every single thing about what is going on. But it is a help that, this is what is happening right now. Like, I don't want people to be, I don't think people should misunderstand. Because think about this. It affected us as in PROVI in the media. We're like, whoa, we're going to hold off for the next couple of weeks trying to figure out what's actually happening. Is this, like I said before, when it first happened, like, I think this is something happening only in Korea. But I'm not sure, so I need to discuss and stuff like that too. But, now that we have a fuller understanding of the situation of what is happening with this group and such, I think personally, I do think it should be fine for us to continue with PROVI the media, but I will have a final discussion with like Korea headquarters and stuff like that too. And because right now it's not a good time to send letters to Sunsteam. But yeah, that's the situation, and that's kind of what is going on right now. And like, even for myself, I was thinking to myself right now is, should I even talk about this on this podcast today? But I also realized actually, it's been talked about openly since that Holy Spirit story letter came out, 21. Basically, Sunsteam has outed out this Telegram room, and he's saying that, hey, close it down, shut it down kind of thing, right? So this is, I don't know the full situation. I only know some basic stuff that I just told you guys here. And I think it gives us a much better idea. It's like, this is what Sunsteam's talking about right now. How could, and for us, it's kind of weird. Like, how can they do this when Sunsteam's like, you can't consider yourself a member. And when Sunsteam says or tells us to do something, and then what do? Like, you do the complete opposite, or you don't even listen, or you try to, you make yourself higher than even Sunstein by not listening to him and stuff like that too. So I found it to be quite enlightening. So I wanted to share this with you guys. I don't know the full name. I don't know what the name is actually called or anything else, but I just wanted you guys to know that if you do see that come out, just know that that's kind of the background to the situation and stuff like that too, right? So yeah. If you have any questions, just let me know. Oh, no, sorry. If you have any questions, I don't know anything more than this right now. And personally, I don't care to know much more. Just for me. Like, even the information we got right now, for me, it was enough. Just to have that much information, it was enough. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense to me. All right. That's fine. That's cool. Right? So, for you guys too, let me know if... I don't know. Are you guys thinking the same thing? Like, it's enough, right? What you've heard is kind of enough. Like, you don't need to know every single thing that's going on, right? Yeah, I don't think we need to know everything either. But either way, that's just an update of those things that are going on. Okay, so thank you guys for kind of. I know I think it has been kind of frustrating over the last couple of weeks. For just like, what the heck is going on with this stuff here? And I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense to me at all, right? And now we have a better idea, and I think we can kind of push forward and move forward much better now that we kind of have the idea of what's happening over there in Korea. It's not happening in any other country. It's mainly happening in Korea. And like, for instance, for you guys too, after you hear this situation, you kind of realize like, oh, that's what's going on. And personally, I don't think it affects PROVI the media at all anymore. I think you guys can say that we're not here trying to discuss and tell Sunstein what to do. We're just kind of like, this is what happened. This is what came out. This is the report for the trial that happened last week, and let's pray for this. Let's pray for this even more. So I personally think we're going to be fine, and it's all a matter of me just making sure I get the final okay from the headquarters over there, and I think we'll continue it once again. Good thing is there was no major news coming out this week, and that's why yesterday we just went over the prayer conditions that we're taking at this time right now too. All right. So yeah, I think that's big news for a lot of us and kind of relieving news at the same time. Okay. So yeah, it's already, man, I've been talking for like over 20 minutes right now. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I'm very, very excited though. Please make sure once again, support the Rebel Pastor. And I think more and more, what's the word I was going to say? More and more information about internet ministry is going to come out. So I hope you guys will become great supporters of it too. Okay, so let's move into today's first music break of the day before we get into, what is it, second section? Second section, is going to be Bible history starting from chapter 29 or 30, I believe. All right.
Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees, praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees, praying for you to always come through. No, I'm not slipping through. No, I'm not falling down. The only thing that's falling is my knees on the floor. I'm praying, Lord, will you give me strength? Lord, will you give me power? I can't do this myself, so bless me in the morning hours. All the demons test me, but they will never shake me. If I pray, they hate me. If I pray, you love me. Connected with you is the only thing that matters. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. While I'm praying on my knees, I trust you with all my heart. For you always come through. For myself, for my family, for myself alone I pray. Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees, praying all night. All I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees, praying for you to always come through. I pray to never just settle for good when great is available. Who's the mastermind behind this mind? I give all the credit to God, that's why I'm back. They mad that I made it, I know that the Satans, they hate it. I keep working hard just to make progress. Now I'm on 10, trust the process, ayy. Look at my efforts lately, I'm setting conditions daily. I'm praying on my knees, so bless me. Please bless me, please bless me. Tribulations always come and go, I will never stop, just always know. Your focus determines reality, stay solid, that's why I'm praying on my knees. I trust you with all my heart, for you to always come through. For myself, for my family, on myself alone I pray. Please don't let me down, Lord. I know I can trust you with all my heart. So I'm on my knees, praying for you to always come through. Even if I pray all night, all I want is for your will be done. So I'm on my knees, praying for you to always come through. SB.
All right, so let's get into today's word study. And every Wednesday we have the Bible history words. I don't know why I just had a brain fart right there. Bible history word study, and we're going to start from Genesis chapter 30 this week, and we're going to kind of finish kind of one big chapter of Jacob's story. Okay, so let's start from chapter 30. So from last chapter, 29, we saw that God saw Leah's sorrow and granted her 4 sons. I don't know why I call her Leah. I'm thinking of Star Wars. I think it's Leah. Leah, I forget. I don't know. You know who I'm talking about. So God saw Leah's sorrow, I don't know what you want to call it, and granted her 4 sons. Okay, so Reuben, Simeon, who is the other ones? It's Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. These 4, right? And of course, this makes Rachel very, very jealous. And we have to understand why this jealousy is there, because we need to know how important bearing sons was in that time. Of course, today is not going to be the same. Sons and daughters are all seen equally, but back then, it was the sons that were the ones that considered to pass on the family bloodline. So her sister has 4 sons already, and she has 0. And basically, she gives she kind of like, oh no, I need some children. So she gives her maidservant to bear children for her. And the 5th son comes from the maidservant, and the name is Dan, and then has another baby, and the name is Naphtali. All right. So basically, here's Jacob, who has 2 wives, and then now he's given the maidservant. That's number 3. So here, now that there's two sons coming out from Rachel's side, the competition becomes even greater. So what happens is Leah's like, man, I'm not bearing any more sons, so let me give my maidservant. And then Leah's maidservant gives 2 more boys, which is Gad and Asher. So this competition was crazy. So how crazy did the competition actually get? So one day Reuben, who was the firstborn, he went into the fields and he found some mandrakes. And for those of you guys who don't know, mandrakes are like drugs. It's kind of considered a narcotic that can even lead to death if you have too much of it. But in the Old Testament days, mandrakes were seen or said to have been like good for fertility. So Rachel saw the mandrakes and was like, Leah, give me those mandrakes, right? Because technically, Rachel didn't have any children yet, right? So she's like, I need all the help I can. So she was desperate enough to allow Leah basically Leah says, okay, I'll give you these mandrakes if you let me sleep with Jacob tonight, right? So think about how crazy this competition is. Jacob comes back from work in the fields, and Leah is straight up, you have to sleep with me tonight because I bought you from Rachel for some mandrakes, right? So here is Jacob. He's kind of like being like a prostitute at this moment, like, oh, I bought you for tonight kind of thing, right? But guess what happens? Leah gets pregnant again with her 5th son, which is Issachar. And then again, she has a 6th son, which is Zebulun. All right? So now there's already like 10 children. There's 6 from Leah, 2 from her maidservant and 2 from Rachel's maidservant. Leah gets pregnant again, but this time it's a daughter, and this Dinah, right? Dinah is like, well, she could be like the 11th, but she's a daughter, so she's not considered part of the, the 12 tribes. So now imagine the great sorrow of Rachel. She asks for the mandrakes. She allows Jacob to sleep with Leah for one night, and she has more children. So can you imagine what she's feeling, right? So there's more great sorrow because now her sister has 6 boys and she has 0, no children of her own. But interestingly, it's like God finally saw her sorrow and allowed her to conceive, which is quite interesting because that's how Leah started having children too, because of sorrow. That, Jacob didn't love her like he loved Rachel. So in her sorrow, God allows her to conceive. And of course, Joseph was born. Now, after Joseph was born, Jacob's like, you know what? It's time for me to go back home, right? I got to see my parents. So basically, negotiations begin with his uncle Laban, right? And basically, there is this deal that they made that any speckled or spotted goat or dark-colored lamb would be his, and everything else would be kept to Uncle Laban, right? So in verse 37, what did Jacob do? Very, very interesting thing here. It says, he took fresh-cut branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees and made white stripes on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood of the branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the water troughs so that they would be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink, when the flocks were in heat and came to drink, right? So they made it in front of the branches, and they bore young that were streaked and speckled or spotted, right? And of course, that's not, I don't think that's going to be like, oh, that's the way to get speckled or spotted or streaked animals. It's probably more of a symbolic gesture that God, probably God told them to do so that it would turn out this way. And I don't think that if you did that right now, that all your lambs and goats would start looking like that because you did the exact same thing, right? And that moves on to chapter 31. And this is when Jacob actually really decides to leave. And he's like, okay, I got to get out of here. It's time for me to go. So Jacob finally decides to leave and doesn't tell his uncle and just leaves, right? And Jacob knows that there is this jealousy that is set in because, he's been so much more successful. Even Laban's sons are jealous of him and saying stuff like this too. So it's very interesting here too because in chapter 31 is where Jacob tells you why he asked for those negotiations of speckled, spotted, and streaked lambs and goats, because he had a dream. Right? And basically God said, yeah, those are yours, kind of thing. So basically the reason why God allowed this to happen is God said he was paying back Jacob for what Uncle Laban did to him, treating him unfairly. And one of the things you'll see is that Uncle Laban actually changed his wages 10 times. So very, very unfair, right? So Jacob ran away with his whole family, all his flocks and everything else. And unknowingly to Jacob, Rachel also steals his father's idol, her father's idols. So Laban gives chase 3 days later when he finds out. And as he's going to chase Jacob, Laban has a dream. And God's like, you better not say anything bad or good to Jacob. Don't do anything. And he's like, whoa, okay. So Laban comes, meets him, is like, hey, what's going on? Why'd you just leave without me saying goodbye to my daughters and my grandchildren or this, and this, right? And basically he says, but my idols are missing, so I need to find them. And Jacob straight up yeah, if you find it, you can punish them with death. He didn't even know that Rachel was the one that got them. But here's Rachel in her wisdom. Rachel, very, very wise. Rachel is sitting on the idols to hide from her father, okay? But what does she say to make sure that his father doesn't find it? She says, I can't get up right now. I'm having my period. She's menstruating. Now, why is this such a smart thing to say? Because in the Old Testament times, when women are menstruating, they're considered unclean. So unclean for 7 days. So if she's having her period, which means she'll be unclean for 7 days, and anyone who even touches her will be considered unclean too. So this is why, the father kind of just leaves her alone. right? Just left her alone. It's considered a very unclean thing. So Laban and Jacob make a covenant at the end of it. He couldn't find the idols, but he make a covenant to be in peace, right? So that's what happens in chapter 31. Now, chapter 32, Jacob is about to meet Esau. And chapter 32 is where I have probably my biggest, my biggest YouTube shorts is coming from Jacob wrestling with God, right? So in chapter 32, Jacob is about to meet Esau, sends a messenger ahead, says, hey, Esau, Jacob's coming back home. Now, Esau, you see his reaction is he doesn't even come alone. He comes with 400 men. So this is where you know he's coming with bad intentions, right? He's not coming alone. He's not coming with his family. He's coming with 400 other men. It looks like he's coming to do something bad. So this is where Jacob's like, oh my gosh, I got to pray. So Jacob sends gifts for Esau, kind of to pacify his heart or soften his heart. 3 droves of gifts to Esau. And he begins to pray. And this is what happens. This is kind of that time where he meets a man. He begins to wrestle with this man. And all night is wrestling with this person, which eventually finds out is God, right? So what does Sunseem say about this? That this is not a literal wrestle, right? It's not wrestling, not literally speaking, because honestly, can anyone really beat God? And, if you were to really wrestle with God, do you think you'd last for the entire night? And the answer is obviously not. So this wrestling with God is more symbolic of wrestling in prayer. Because prayer is not easy to pray all night. You're going to struggle. You're going to be tired. You're going to be like this. You're going to be crying out to God. And during the time, it says like in the story that the man touched Jacob's hip socket. And this is kind of where most people hurt when they pray on their knees for a long time, right? And the fight between this man and Jacob is symbolism of a strong prayer that never gives up until the end, never letting go of the man until he is blessed, doing it until the end, basically, right? So after he finally defeats this man, or he actually sets the condition for the prayer, Jacob's name gets changed to Israel, which I think is a very interesting change because that's where the name Israel comes from. It means to wrestle with God, right? Because remember, Israel, El is God. El means God, Jehovah, right? It's Israel, which means to wrestle with God, and he wins his blessing, right? And this is where the name of Israel comes from. And this all ensures, after wrestling with God all night and getting the blessing, this all ensures that there will be no war or bloodshed between Jacob and Esau, and he gets blessed. On top of it, Jacob does everything in his power to pacify Esau, to melt his heart. And Esau's like, I don't want any of it. So, Jacob could have kept everything too, but he insisted, and Esau kept all those things also. And then it moves to chapter 33, which is a lot shorter. Jacob meets with Esau, met with embrace because Esau's heart has changed. God's blessing was powerful as even Esau did not want any of the gifts that Jacob prepared, but there was peace. Now we go to chapter 34. Now this is kind of a crazy story because this kind of has nothing to do with Jacob or Esau or anyone else. It's a story about his daughter Dinah. So Dinah is, the 11th child, and she was raped by a Shechemite, right? And this guy was smitten by Dinah, and this just pissed off her brothers. So Jacob, he's new to the land. He didn't want any war. He didn't want anything bad to happen. He just wanted to keep peace, but the brothers weren't having any of it. So the brothers basically, so the Shechemite said, "Hey, how can we, marry with your sister?" And basically, the brothers were scheming, and they said, "All right, if you really want to exchange, intermarry with us, all the males need to get circumcised." So what happens is, all the males of the Shechemites of that group get circumcised, and while they're still in pain, 3 days later, the brothers come in, attack them, kill all the guys in there, loot the city, take the women and children. That's chapter 34. Now, Jacob wasn't happy because he doesn't want war. He doesn't want any of the other people in the land to be thinking, oh my gosh, is he going to come and do this to us too? He didn't want any of it. But the sons have caused, they basically caused a lot of turmoil that the people of the land they're not going to look too highly upon him. and stuff like that too. So that is something that we look at and say, ooh, wow, that's something that we have to take into consideration. Like it's kind of an interesting story that happened in between, which moves us to chapter 35. And chapter 35 is Jacob wants to go back to Padan Aram, right? And he goes to worship in Bethel, right? Remember, that's where he saw the staircase leading up to heaven, and he set up a pillar, and he called it Bethel, the house of God, right? And after he worshiped there, he got back from Padan Aram, and God blesses him again, and it's the same blessing as as Abraham got and Isaac. Like, your descendants will be like the sands on the seashore or the stars in the sky. At the end of this, basically Rachel gets pregnant again with the final son, which is Ben-Ami or Benjamin, and Rachel dies giving birth. And then also a little later, so that's Jacob's wife, Rachel, dies. And then a little later, Isaac, Jacob's father, dies a little bit later. And both Jacob and Esau together bury their father, right? So that's kind of what is happening from chapters 30 to 35. It's kind of more of an ending of kind of a chapter in the story of Jacob, which we'll do a little bit more as we move on, okay? So there it is, guys. That is the Bible history word study. I hope it's something you guys have been enjoying. It's kind of like us reading through the Bible or going through it step by step, kind of getting the general synopsis of what is happening, what is going on too. Okay. So, yes, the next segment, the last segment for today's Wednesday podcast, we do have Health is Happiness with Yen Yu. She is studying to be a physiotherapist. We're going to do a 6-part series, starting off with injuries and preventing injuries. And today we're going to talk about soft tissue injuries. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this. But before we get into it, of course, let's get into the last music break of the day.
I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. We stay looking for someone to hold when the right one's standing at your door. Open up your heart and say, I believe in what you say, and I promise you will gain much more. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. 10 years of struggle, 10 years of pain, but I'll finally get to see you no more. Just calling your name, and the ones who wonder who, just open up your eyes. He's waiting for you too. He's not a man in disguise. And the hardest cross to bear, but your heart's not what I wear. To think this effort and this love could overcome the dirty stairs, and it's all because of you. Yeah, it's all because of you. Said it's all because of you. Yeah, I need you. Looking for someone to hold when the right one's standing at your door. Open up your heart and say, I believe in what you say, and I promise you will gain much more. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one.
Okay, so let's get into our final segment for this wonderful Wednesday podcast. Of course, we have Health is Happiness, and we're going to be going into injuries and preventing injuries for the next 6 weeks. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is a physiotherapist over there in Singapore. Please welcome Yuan Yu.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuan Yu and I'm from Singapore. I'm currently in my final year of physiotherapy. On today's topic of health is happiness, I will be talking more about soft tissue injury. I'd like to give thanks to the Holy Trinity for this opportunity, as well as Julius and Pastor Sky for this platform. As a disclaimer, this is general health advice. If you do have a soft tissue injury, especially a major one, it is best if you can seek medical attention. Firstly, what are soft tissue injuries? Soft tissues include things like ligaments, muscles, and tendons. And common soft tissue injuries include ankle sprains, muscle strains, Achilles tendinopathy. This doesn't refer to the facial tissue you buy at a supermarket, but these are soft tissues in our bodies that help stabilize our various joints such as our ankles, our knees, etc. Due to trauma or an accident, or perhaps you carried something too quickly too fast, these can cause soft tissue injuries, which refer to micro tears in those various structures. What happens when a soft tissue injury occurs? There is an immediate inflammatory response that presents as pain, redness, and swelling, as well as reduced function. Using an ankle sprain as an example, you will get pain, redness, swelling, and you won't be able to move your ankle that well. This inflammation process is, however, an essential process that initiates tissue repair, and in this process, there might be excessive bleeding and swelling, which can be very painful, and I'll explain more on how to cope with it later on. Moving on to the how. Traditionally, treatment is guided by a commonly known acronym, RICE. Rest, ice, compression, and elevation. However, in recent years, a new acronym, Peace and Love, provides more information on soft tissue healing by giving information on the acute and chronic stages, meaning right after the injury to weeks and months post-injury. For this acronym, P stands for protection. In the short term, meaning 24 hours to 2 days, it is better to reduce movement and to rest more. This reduces the risk of bleeding and aggravating the injury. While rest is important, prolonged rest can compromise tissue recovery. Therefore, we want to gradually use back the ankle to walk again, for instance, as much as we can tolerate the pain. So, how much pain is tolerable, or how much pain can we allow? Interestingly, for our bodies, pain is a way that our body protects itself. Therefore, when an area is injured, the body will send signals to tell you that, hey, this area is injured, therefore it is painful. Don't put so much weight on it, don't use it so much. And when the pain gradually subsides, the body then reduces the amount of pain that you feel from the area, and this is like the body telling you that, hey, it is safe to move this part, it is safe to use the ankle, for instance. While the short term can refer to 24 hours to 2 days, if the injury is very severe, it may even require a week or more. Therefore, it is good to seek medical advice when you especially have more serious injuries. But if the injury is more superficial, then you might need even less than 24 hours of relative rest. How do you know how much pain is acceptable? You can use this traffic light analogy whereby on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is not painful, 10 is very painful. If let's say the pain level is 0 to 3, then that is considered mild pain and it's safe to move. If the pain increases to 4 to 6 out of 10, then that is moderate amount of pain. It's like an orange light on the traffic light, and it's a sign for you to reduce the amount of movement or reduce the activity that you're doing. Then if the pain goes to 7 to 10 out of 10, that is like a red light, it's better for you to stop and to take a rest first before continuing the activity. Then if the pain is going back to 0 to 3, it's like a green light and it's safe to move. Moving on to E. E stands for elevation. Elevating the injured part higher than our heart can reduce swelling. It might be difficult to always do this, therefore at least elevating to your hip level, such as when you're sitting down, you can elevate your leg if you had an ankle sprain. If you're sleeping and you're lying down, then you can elevate your ankle on a pillow so that it's higher than the rest of the body. Yep. Then moving on to A is avoiding anti-inflammatory medication or icing. So avoiding these things are because anti-inflammatory medication and icing can hinder the inflammatory process, which is essentially helping in the healing. But while the inflammatory process is for the healing, it can also be quite a painful one due to the swelling that comes with it. Hence, if you're in a painful state, the pain is a level 4 and above, then you can ice it in the short term. But once the pain reduces and it gets better, then there isn't a need to ice it. If you do want to ice it, don't place ice directly on your skin, but use a barrier like a towel to protect yourself from ice burns. Generally, you can ice about 15 minutes and take a break and repeat this cycle as many times as needed. C. Compression. Compression is a useful way to reduce swelling. This can be done in the form of a bandage, an ankle guard for instance, or tape. Ensure that if you were to get one, that it fits well and is not too tight. E. Education. Education is important because if we know, then we know how to do it properly. Recent research has shown that active recovery is much better than passive recovery. Passive recovery approach includes things like complete rest, electrotherapy, manual therapy, acupuncture. And if we do all of this only, then it has limited benefits. Whereas if you do active approach, which refers to, yes, having that relative rest, but then gradually using that limb, gradually moving the ankle again, this is more superior. After peace comes love, which means that after the first few days have passed, soft tissues need love, and I'll explain the acronym. L refers to load, gradually using the limb more as soon as you can tolerate. There was this experiment that the group did early loading post-injury versus another group which rested a lot and delayed loading. The group who did early loading had much more benefits in strength and function. How do you know how much and when you can load? You can use the traffic light analogy 0 to 10 and look at how painful it is for you. By loading the ankle, in this instance, gradually, earlier on, then the ligaments or the muscles or the tendons that were injured in the area learn how to adapt and get stronger in order to support your body. And if it's going back to the traffic light analogy, around a 0 to 3 out of 10 on a pain score, it is safe to load it. And remember that for all of these loading, do it in a gradual manner. O. Optimism. As much as we take care of the physical aspect as shared, the mental aspect is as important. Our brain plays a significant part in recovery because by being optimistic, it helps you to recover faster. If you do find yourself feeling fearful, anxious, depressed, or catastrophizing the injury, meaning thinking that the injury is worse than it actually is, research has shown that it will delay recovery. Definitely, while being optimistic is also to stay realistic on the general recovery time. V. Vascularization. So as much as we, for instance, resume walking, strengthening the area, it's also good to do some aerobic activity. This will help improve the blood circulation, which helps improve recovery. So for instance, besides walking, you can jog, you can cycle, you can swim, and do all of these as tolerated. Lastly, E. Exercise. Once the pain gets more manageable or it goes to minimal pain, then do some exercise to regain your strength. And with regards to what exercises you can refer to the previous podcast episode on strengthening, or you can search up exercises for X area that you injured. Okay, besides the peace and love acronym, I'll also touch a bit on prevention. The best case scenario is to prevent the injury, right? So what are some ways that we can prevent the injury? There are 3 ways I'll share today. First is to do regular exercise. Yes, that is the hard truth, because if we are strong on a regular basis and we do our strength, then we wouldn't be that susceptible to injury. Secondly is to be careful. Don't do dangerous things unnecessarily. Just like in the sermon on being careful on your own, let's exercise safety, whether is it for physical, mental, or spiritual health. Thirdly, do exercise, but in a progressive manner. While we are diligent in our exercise, let's not be too overzealous or over-enthusiastic, but progress the exercise gradually so that our body has time to adapt to it and not be too overloaded in the short term. And with that, we've come to the end of this episode. If you have any questions, feel free to sound it out in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer them. Wishing everyone the best as we continue taking care of ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually in this history. Thank you for listening and goodbye.
And thank you so much, Yu, for another wonderful episode of Health is Happiness. This is a replay, but all this is very, very important for us, especially when it comes to our health. So I hope you guys will enjoy this 6-part series that will be coming out. Everyone, please leave a comment below if you have any questions or anything that you want to ask to the doctors or the physiotherapists for Health is Happiness. And if there's anything else, you can leave an encouragement for them too. Okay? So there it is, guys. That is the end of today's podcast. Hope you guys super enjoyed it as much as I have. Have an amazing Wednesday service tonight, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. Just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when